Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Trackside Talks. I know it's been a little while since our last episode, but thank you for waiting around. This episode, at the end, we will be going over Canada and a little look ahead towards Austria, but for the first portion, we are going to be debating on what is the best, or should I say, what track provides the most entertainment in Formula One. So I'll start. I think it is Sao Paulo, Interlagos, and here's why. So, first of all, I feel that the corners provide a good mix of high-speed corners, like the first couple corners are pretty high speed and the last corner is really fast, with some of the really, really slow ones, with some late braking. It's very flowy. I love just all the fans there are really excited, and it's got a lot of great history. It's super historic. It's been there a while. And one of my main points is it rains there a lot, which is always a big incentive for a very exciting race, as we saw last year.
Okay, I would agree. So first of all, I think Brazil's a good track. Esteban could come back last year in the rain and drive the Alpine very fast, so I think that's a good pick. But I think Spa, the Belgian Grand Prix, is the best track because, first of all, it's been on the calendar for a very long time, so I think that just proves that it's a good track, and I think it has a great mix of, elevation change, good turns, high speed, low speed, medium speed corners, like you say. It's a very fun track to watch, and there's always opportunity for overtake there, which isn't the case with some of the tracks on the calendar. And I think, while it rains a little bit there too, like Brazil, I think it makes for a better race than Brazil because, Brazil is a very flowy track, and I think Spa's a very technical track, and I think it's just great because you pay for your mistakes on Spa, and it's a close race usually, so you'll probably get overtaken if you make one or two little mistakes. I think it's very exciting.
I do definitely agree with a lot of what you said there, especially with the technicality, which is always good in Formula One. One thing I will say, you mentioned how you pay for your mistakes. I think a lot of tracks that have a bunch of really fast, flowy turns in a row, like Suzuka with the S's in Silverstone and the U.S., all of those tracks, and I forget exactly which turn it is, but it's towards the beginning of the track, maybe turn 2 through 4, there's a very flowy section in Silverstone where if you get messed up in the first couple of turns, you won't get fully slung out into that fast section, which can actually provide a really good time for some really cool battling through those fast turns. Especially when we saw Lewis Hamilton go last to first in Spa, we just saw a lot of that, of him really utilizing every single corner, and he just had everything down perfect, and he capitalized on everyone else's mistakes. But I do agree with a lot of what you said about the elevation change, and Spa is extremely technical. Similar, actually, to Interlagos, just because of its size, it has so many turns and just difference of turns. I think that's one thing Interlagos lacks is it's not overly long. Which it does have a good balance of turns, but there's a lot of laps, and it gets a little bit repetitive after a while. I think another candidate for one of the better races is actually the U.S., Austin, because although I don't like it as much, just the atmosphere is kind of different than a lot of the Europeans or Asian ones, I do like the rise to turn 1 and turn 1, followed by the S's, followed by the hairpin. It's just got a lot of really good blend. Those S's at US are really just fun to watch and cool for wheel-to-wheel stuff.
Yep. And so I would agree with all of what you said, but I think one thing that puts Spa above Sao Paulo or Austin or wherever you know, whichever ones you think could rank higher, is that it's scenery. It's so beautiful there in Belgium with like the trees and the rolling hills and the mountains. And I think Austria is also very beautiful. I just don't think it provides very good racing. But it is high speed and entertaining. But also I think Spa has the best corner in all of F1, which is like Eau Rouge or however you say it. Like
Oh,
the first
Rouge,
one.
yes, and Radion, yeah.
That's the steep uphill.
Yeah, yes, Eau Rouge.
Yeah, I think that's the best corner in all of F1.
Yeah, it is great, super entertaining. And it's just so much fun to watch, and it is pretty technical. I mean, it's crazy. You watch them do it, and it looks like so easy, and it's such a not a very sharp turn, and it looks so easy. And I've driven it on F124, and that is not an easy corner at all, just because of, I mean, you can take it flat out. So,
yeah, I agree.
It's a great turn. What you said about scenery, I definitely agree with that. And then you mentioned Austria, which is where we're going this weekend. I love the scenery there. In my opinion, it's the easiest track to drive on the calendar. It's not difficult at all. However, that hairpin right at the beginning of the track, after that super long straight, does give us some great wheel-to-wheel stuff like last year between Lando and Max. But yes. I think other than that, it has basically nothing to offer. Just a bunch of really easy corners. But what you said about the scenery, I think, is a great point, which both Austin and Interlagos lacks, because Austin's just kind of in, like, suburban U.S., and Interlagos is obviously in close to downtown Sao Paulo. So, I think
I will say, though,
yeah,
Interlagos it does have some good scenery because, like, right, overlooking downtown Sao Paulo, right. But I just think Belgium is the best.
Right. No, I can get behind that. So that was a very good segment. We'll be bringing back more debate segments like that. Like our first episode where we debated who is better between Charles Leclerc and Esteban Ocon, and what we did today. We'll bring back more of these kind of segments. But now we're going to do a quick recap on Canada, followed by a little look ahead towards Austria next week. So, Canada was honestly just a great race all around.
Yeah.
It was a lot going on, just a lot happening. And honestly, Canada's a great track. It's very, very small, but it always ends up providing some good races. It has that really, really nice chicane. I forget which turn those are, like maybe 13 or 14 or something. The two really sharp ones, the kind of zigzag. Great braking into there. Shout out George Russell and just Mercedes in general.
Kimi Antonelli on his first podium.
I know, very exciting. I mean, we have to think about like what this could mean for Mercedes. So like, what does this mean for them next year? Or even what does this mean for them this year? Like, what can that car do? Like, what made it so strong this weekend? Is a good question. Honestly, just a great weekend all around.
Yeah. And I thought McLaren handled the crash between Oscar and Lando pretty well. Like, they were respectful.
Definitely. I definitely admire that. I mean, we saw very similar stuff between Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton, where both of them were extremely talented and fighting for world championships, and they were just not good friends at all. When they crashed, it just got, like, very dangerous and stuff. And I don't see that at all in Lando and Oscar. They're just, I mean, they got right over it. As soon Lando just accepted it was his fault, Oscar wasn't mad. It was just, I think they handled it very well, and I think that's one of the factors that allows them to be where they are in the constructor standings and just, like, how dominant they've been this year.
Yeah. And I just want to say Carlos and Esteban, our two guys, had great drives because Esteban went 14th to 9th and Carlos went, I think it was 16th to 10th.
Yes.
So two very impressive drives from them, and Fernando Alonso getting a 7th place, which is huge for him this season.
It is. Honestly, it really was a great race all around. It was fun to watch. It's also good to see somebody new on the podium. I mean, this time last year, we have to remember at the exact same time of the year, there were also only 4 winners. It was Max, Carlos, Charles, and Lando at this point in the year. And we saw how many people won multiple races last year. So I'm hoping that it'll be similar to last year, in which we see people like Charles or Lewis or Kimi get those wins. Which was just, honestly, it was a great season last year, and I hope we can see similar stuff to that. And now let's make our predictions, top 10 for Austria. You go first.
Okay, so I just think McLaren is the fastest car. So I believe that they will get first and second. So I have Lando Norris in first and Oscar in second.
Okay.
Then I have George in third, actually.
Okay.
And Max in fourth. Then I have Kimi in fifth. Leclerc in sixth. Then I have Alex Albon actually in seventh. And then Hamilton in eighth. And then in ninth I have Esteban Ocon. And then in 10th, I have Carlos Sainz.
Okay. I have a similar list. Actually, not very similar. At 1, I'm going Max. I think he's good at qualifying, and if he doesn't qualify on pole, I think he's not afraid to just go for it into that hairpin right at the start of the race. So I think he could get into the lead early and then just grow his lead from there. I mean, yeah, he's been dominant this track. I mean, I know he didn't win last year, but he's previously been extremely dominant this track. And then in the second spot, I have Oscar Piastri. Third spot, Lando Norris. Fourth, Charles Leclerc. Fifth, Kimi Antonelli. Sixth, George Russell. Seventh, Lewis Hamilton. Eighth, Carlos Sainz. 9, I have Oliver Behrman, and 10, I have Pierre Gasly.
All right, that would be good for Pierre to place top 10.
Yeah, I think Pierre's a great driver. I think he's had a rough career. I mean, he's been kind of tossed around, and he doesn't have the best car now, but I think he does have what it takes. I mean, we saw him and Esteban last year in Brazil, and it's just very impressive stuff. So I think he has what it takes to do good. That is just about all we have for you guys today. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Trackside Talks. We will hopefully be dropping another episode following the Austrian Grand Prix. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.